Hello and welcome to Build and Thrive. This is a brand new podcast that's dedicated to improving the health and the happiness of the construction industry. For our first series, we're going to be inviting inspirational guests and individuals within the industry or health and wellbeing experts that are going to share their own personal experiences and their own journeys. I'm really thrilled to introduce our very first guest, which is Lee Rowswell from GKR Scaffolding. GKR also are sponsors for the podcast, and I know GKR are very well known for what they've been doing around innovations in health and safety, but also my own personal experience working closely with the team, how passionate they are about health and wellbeing. So for anyone that knows Lee, you might be thinking that this is a slightly risky decision, having him as our very first guest, but equally I'm sure it's going to be very open and honest. So welcome to the podcast, Lee.
Thank you, Jenny. What a great intro.
So Lee, obviously I know you well, I know you're quite well known within construction, but for those people that don't know you, just tell us a little bit about your own journey and your own career in construction.
Okay, so yeah, listen, thanks again for having me on, Jen. For those that don't know me, I'm obviously Lee Rowswell, the Group Director for GKR Scaffolding. I've been in the construction sector now for just over 35 years. I started on the tools at the age of 15 after leaving school. Probably like a lot of us listening to this podcast today, construction wasn't the chosen choice, of our career, but one that we've fallen into. And mine was obviously through, being part of the family business and my dad's experience within scaffolding. So as I've said, I'm proud to say that I'm celebrating 35 years in the scaffolding sector now. And recently this year, the business GKR Scaffolding celebrated 30 years in business. Coming from the tools, it's going to flow quite nicely into today's podcast. The way the industry has changed, it's evolved over the last 35 years, and where it's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years with the technology and the tools that are available to us.
Yeah, well, tell us a bit more about why you're so passionate about health and safety, but also health and wellbeing.
I'll share a safety moment. It happened in my mid-20s. Neil was a bit younger than me, and Neil had a serious fall through no fault of his own. The scaffolding.
Neil's your brother.
Neil's my brother. So yeah, I'll share with you, Jenny. It happened very early into our careers. We was both sort of like in our mid-20s, and Neil had a serious incident, a fall from height. The scaffold had been tampered with. He unfortunately broke his back in 3 places. He was told he'd never walk again. But we were fortunate enough that after 3 months in hospital, a surgeon had flown over from America. It was in the Charing Cross Hospital. Yeah, that was there to operate on somebody else's back, and said there's a 20% chance I can help Neil walk again. Yeah, so we took the chance, the family took the chance, Neil's wife took the chance, and obviously it paid off, and he's as strong as ever, and he went back onto the tools a couple of years later. If that doesn't set a precedent of where health and safety has to be within your business at a very young age, I don't know what will. And that is why it's at the forefront of everybody that runs a business. But for us, when you've got that safety moment within your business and you've experienced that, it has always wanted us to be the best at what we do, make our business one of the safest businesses to work for.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lee. So obviously you spent quite a bit of time in the industry. When we're talking about health and wellbeing, what are some of the challenges that you've seen, and particularly how things have evolved over your time working in the industry?
If I was just to say my top three are they concerns? They are concerns, but things that I don't think we're ever going to eradicate, but things that we need to manage a lot better. The 3 things I'm going to mention are all associated with construction and obviously a huge part of what we do in scaffolding. Manual handling always being number 1 with us. Secondly, I turn around and say, more so now with noise, with the way that we're working and the tools we're using, and obviously dust as well. Dust is a huge concern. Dust has been here forever, like the other 2, but the steps forward to eradicating dust, ban the broom. Now, we have made changes. The industry has made changes towards the well-being of our individuals, because you don't see the benefits or what we've done to our people for many years through health. They're invisible, aren't they? Do you agree?
Yeah.
Being a specialist, they're invisible. So we have to make the changes now for the industry and our people for the future.
And I suppose as someone that works in the industry, you kind of talk in the same language and things that I'd say, but I don't think it's always shared by others. What's your kind of reasons, do you think, why there's such a barrier to others addressing health in the same way as they do safety?
Is there a barrier, or do we sort of like more so just concentrate on the safety side of the industry? Because quite frequently in the industry, there's always a safety incident, a slip, trip and a fall, a near miss, a drop from height. Obviously, the professionals that are there for the health and safety support, they're constantly sort of like, you can't manage safety, can you? So they're constantly on the health safety side, and does health just lag behind? But as we all know, and as you and as Jenny, as you say, in a lot of times that we meet and you talk to my team, 100 times more likely to die from a work-related health issue than what you are a health and safety.
And we talk about people dying, which is one thing, but equally there's a lot of health issues that don't necessarily cause you to lose your life. They cause you to have ill health in the future, and you get to that retirement stage and you're not able to function as well. And
you have the invisible one as well. But they're all invisible, aren't they? The mental health side as well. The construction industry has the highest amount of suicides every year.
Yeah, but higher than the national average. Yeah, they reckon it's nearly 4 times now. It is something that I think the industry has really started to recognise, but I suppose there's still challenges around how do we manage it. Let's talk about your challenges that you spoke about at the beginning. Manual handling, some of the work that you've been doing. I know that this has been a top priority for you over the last year.
Manual handling, scaffolding's been around since the Egyptians. Obviously, we do evolve, we change the way we work, and we have recently more so as well around manual handling. So manual handling, it's lifting, lowering, pushing, pulling, moving or carrying a load. Every single one of those relates to what we do every single day in every single discipline. From when the material's loaded from the yard, yes, they do have mechanical lifting aids with forklifts, but when a vehicle comes back from a dismantle of a job, the lorry heights are all different, the loads are all different. So manual handling assessments just change. The environment changes so much. So we have those concerns every single day with the manual handling, and more so the lack of mechanical aids that we're always given on site. Yeah, we always try early engagement with our clients, the importance of mechanical lifting aids such as hoists, cranes or the internal lift shafts, rather than relying on the pure strength of our operatives, and even more so the ginny wheel and rope, of which we've demonstrated earlier this year with our wearable devices, of the impact that it does do to the body. There's ways that we can improve it, the ways that we can improve the tying off of the loads. We've worked out that by building a platform at waist height improves the amount of bending that somebody was doing each day. But obviously manual handling is here to stay. Are we ever going to be taken over by robotic scaffolders? Not in my lifetime. The environment changes too much daily. Yeah, the day that I see robots on a scaffold, listen, I'm all for it. I'm all for the mechanical aids, robots in the yard unloading lorries. The environment changes too much. You need human interaction in the construction industry, in my eyes, yeah? All for it. We'll trial anything that anybody's got. Anyone that's listening to this podcast that feels that they've got the answer, feel free to reach out. But manual handling training, let's be honest, it's still just a one-size-fits-all blanket, isn't it? In the colleges that they're teaching, the 30-minute YouTube video and materials, it's all different sizes, shapes and weights. And the same with scaffolding. Sometimes you can get 25 components in a sack, sometimes you might get 10. Some people want to carry 3 scaffold tubes, some people want to carry 5. And we're lifting at different heights all the time as well. So we're always bending and we're stretching. So it's a challenge. It's a huge challenge, but I'm sure we'll touch on it later on in what we've done, and again with the support of construction health and wellbeing, the technology that we're now introducing within the business. Well,
let's talk about that now. You've mentioned the use of wearables. Tell me a bit more about the benefits of that and what does that actually look like for scaffolders?
Right, so obviously the wearables, they're a device that fits to the arm, or is about a matchbox size that fits to the back of the hard hat or onto the back of your high-vis. For anybody that wants to criticise, they are tethered, and they are tethered to the individual. Everything's recorded in there that goes back to a hub. At the end of the day, we get a download of the number of bending movements they've done, correct lifting areas for improvement, stretching, and everything like that. So the data that's being fed out of this is phenomenal. But the way that we are working with it is that we're on site with them, we're videoing them, and when they're incorrectly lifting, they get 1, 2 or 3 beeps, depending on the severity of the lift and the bend. We video it and use that as a task-specific individual manual handling training. Since we've been wearing the technology, we've had a 67% betterment in manual handling with our staff.
Wow, that's amazing. How has that been received by scaffolders?
Well, listen, like as you can imagine, scaffolders do not like change. No one likes change, do they? When we invested not only the money, but the amount of time that has gone into this, and the amount of time that the team is still putting into this to collate this amount of data for us, to improve, to basically not to improve the way the business works, to improve manual handling, but more so to improve the individual's lifetime in scaffolding, because you get to a certain age in majority of the construction industry, and your body's tired. So not only that, they can see that we're investing the time and the money, but into them to improve the longevity of themselves.
Brilliant. And also you obviously mentioned dust and noise being a concern, but it's not something you necessarily would associate with scaffolding. Tell us a bit more about
Okay, so dust has always been a concern, hasn't it? You are the Queen Ambassador of dust. Yeah, you always have been.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, you are. You're the ambassador for dust. But obviously, not many people see dust as a risk, do they? Not many people see dust as a risk. Yeah, we have dust control measures with the extracts on our drills. The drills when we're drilling the ties into the building, face fit masks, cleanly shaven, the extracts in the yard, in the timber shed when we're cutting up the timber. We have our own control measures, but the biggest thing that we've got is the dust that's left behind. Yeah, when a scaffold hasn't been cleaned correctly, the risk is the dust left behind by others. And especially more so now in the industry than ever before. The projects are larger, large bird cages within buildings, within atriums that have had a plasterboard ceiling on, been rubbed down, various trades. It's the dust that's left on the scaffold when we're dismantling. So we need to educate the entire industry around the dangers of dust.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where it's so important in contracts that you specify who's responsible for cleaning that down before your workers are having to dismantle it.
Exactly.
And what is a similar thing for noise then? You find that as an issue with others or your own team?
I'd say noise more so now, since the introduction of the impact guns, wrenches that scaffolders now use, and it's their tool of choice. Yeah, there's obviously the noise impact that it does have, not only on the environment, but more so the individual. We carry out all our noise assessments in the workplace and on the individual. We've developed task-specific noise assessments for the use of the impact guns. Recently, we've partnered with an occupational health hygienist for individual noise monitors to measure the noise throughout the course of a day to get a better understanding to see what they're exposed to.
Yeah, and I suppose that can be such a variation depending on the environment. If you're doing internal scaffolding or external, or if there's different people working around you.
So obviously something we was always exposed to on construction sites, but more so now that the spanner is fading out and the impact gun is now the tool of choice, and the exposure that these individuals are exposed to on a daily basis.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you eliminate one risk with the repetitive movements with one tool and then introduce another one. That's always the challenge with
definitely
balancing the risk.
Definitely.
Brilliant, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing some of your challenges. I'm going to go into our first feature. So one of the things that we like to do is as a nurse, so we talk about evidence-based practice all the time. So I'm asking all of our guests to share a really interesting statistic or fact that they've learned and something that's really helped you or driven you to do more around health and wellbeing in the industry. Have you got anything you want to share with us, Lee?
Health and wellbeing within the industry. I've got loads to share with you. Here's a statistic for you. I am part of that statistic as well. I'm quite proud to be. For those that know me again, I have adult ADHD, diagnosed in 2020. Yeah. I always knew I was special, just didn't realise I was that special. It's something that I own and I embrace. 1 in 7 of us are neurodiverse, and that's 15% of the UK. I would turn around personally and say that that's a lot higher in the construction industry, because I truly believe that we are a very diverse industry. Yeah? They're hidden powers. Our brains work differently.
Absolutely.
They do work differently, and construction attracts creative and technically minded people, I believe. People who are focused on detail as well. People who prefer to be active and physical. These are all neurodiverse strengths. Absolutely. And like I just said, that I am part of that. I am part of them. And, You know, it does come with its negatives, don't get me wrong. There are negatives to being neurodiverse, yeah. We're misunderstood. We're completely misunderstood. We're also misinterpreted as well, I believe. But it also, you know, it comes with the issues like anxiety, depression, and a lot of stress. I've experienced all of those as well. But obviously, it comes with its strengths as well. It really does. Mine are hyper, attentive, persistent, and I've got limitless energy at the age of 51. And I truly believe that people do channel off of my energy within my business and in my friendship groups. Without this, I don't think I would have been as successful as what I was.
Yeah, now they talk a lot about entrepreneurs and business people and being neurodiverse. It's a quite classic trait. And so, I mean, I suppose I see the industry recognising more about neurodiversity, but when it comes to actually embracing and doing more, I think about some of the workers on the tools that maybe have, as you said, come into the industry because they didn't necessarily find themselves in a traditional educational setting. I think there's still quite a lot of learning that we need to do, but what do you think some of the ways that the industry could become more inclusive and embrace the same people as you've mentioned that can bring a lot of value to the industry?
It's not about how we embrace neurodiverse people. We're not all sort of like on a bus together or we're all in a classroom. There's a classroom of neurodiverse people, yeah, that'd be an absolute car crash, right? But we just want to attract the best people in the industry, the best people to do their job. That's what we want. But the neurodiverse sort of like, you know, the people with this neurodiverse are already within our businesses. They're already here. It's just embrace that energy and take that energy to really channel through others.
Appreciating that everyone's different and we've all got different ways of doing things.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's cut from a different cloth. They really are, in my eyes. And I truly believe that, for me, I own it. I do own it, yeah. And it's something that's allowed me to drive the business just with the energy that it does give me. But it does come with its challenges. Yeah.
And we obviously touched a little bit on mental health. Let's go back to that as a key topic. You've said it comes with anxiety and stress, but also we know that this is such a huge problem within construction. Tell me again, your experience of mental health, the stigma, how things are changing for the better, or what things we need to do more with.
So, mental health's a tough one because when you're in a very male-dominated sector of scaffolding, the construction industry is obviously the percentages of neurodiverse and diversity and inclusion and females in construction is getting higher. And that's great because we're opening up so many different strengths to the industry by bringing in so many different people where it was all male dominated. Scaffolding is still very male dominated, yeah. Not many people want to open up, yeah, and talk about they've got mental health issues. They don't. And that's sad. And that's sad because it's sad to see people struggling. But I truly believe that within our business, by talking about the stigma around mental health, they do feel that they can come and talk to us. We do have mental health first aiders, but they're not being used enough, if I'm totally honest with you, by the people within our business, yeah? And we do go around and talk to people. We do recognise change in their behaviours around their mental health because, let's be honest with you, yeah, everybody struggles. No one knows what people's lives are like at home or outside of the workplace, yeah? And it takes a brave person to open up that they are struggling. And I've struggled with mental health myself, but I knew where I could go and get help. I knew that going to talk to somebody, sharing the issues that I was having and the support of a network around me, you know, help me get through that.
And they talk a lot about, actually, as a leader of a business, being vulnerable yourself enables those conversations to happen more. But like, you don't have to touch on it if you don't want to, but do you want to share a little bit more about your own personal experiences?
Yeah, of course. You're driving a business, you're the person at the top, you haven't got time to think. Who's there for you? Who's asking you if you're okay? You're forever cascading through the senior leadership team to make sure our people are okay, yeah? In 2020, I went through a divorce. We was in the middle of COVID. I'm bringing two children up, my two elder children up, and co-parenting my younger one. I struggled with my mental health. I'd just been diagnosed with ADHD. I felt the world was on top of me. But I did go out and I spoke to people. Not only I spoke to professional people, I spoke to a lot of people initially outside of the business, if I'm honest with you, because I didn't want people in my business knowing what was happening with my mental health and in my personal life. And then I was encouraged to go and talk to the people within your business. Let them support you. And it's probably the best thing I ever done. I'd encourage anybody that is struggling with mental health, to talk to people within your business, talk to your mental health first aiders, speak to your health and safety team, speak to your human resources. But if you can't do that, one thing I'm going to plug now, and we do support this charity, and we're a huge supporter of the charity, is go and speak to the Lighthouse charity. Yeah, it's the only charity within the construction industry, that provides support for everybody we're working with. Not only mental health support, but emotional support, physical support, financial and wellbeing support. Yeah, and at the end of this podcast, hopefully, Jenny, if you could just share a slide with the contact details of what they do. They do absolutely phenomenal work. Just last year in 2023, they helped nearly 4,000 families. 4,000 families they supported through, obviously, the reasons that we just discussed. So if one thing comes from this, and if anyone's listening to it, if you are don't suffer alone. It is great to speak to people, even if that's just your friend on a Friday night having a pint of beer or a glass of wine. Just go and talk to somebody, because it's good to talk. And I realised that, and obviously it made me stronger, and the network around me as well. Everybody can help somebody. It's good to talk.
Absolutely, and I've heard some amazing things about Lighthouse charity, like sending food vans round to people's homes when they've not been able to put a meal on the table.
Well, you see it. We've got it on the side of our lorries, on the side of our trailers. We've got the whole helpline on there. Reach out to them. That's what they're there for. Brilliant.
We'll make sure we add all of their details in. But I think most people hopefully have heard of them. I am quite keen to explore a little bit more about the construction industry. And you shared a little bit about your own personal challenges. There's a lot of arguments in our industry that the way we prioritise programme and cost over health and well-being and looking after our people can be a huge contributor and factor to stress and people's mental health. What do you think about that? Would you agree, or do you think
I'm going to break that down.
Okay.
I'm going to break that down. On the first point, over programme and cost shouldn't have an impact, because the subcontractor that's being set their cost and programme should be able to push back. We should be able to have a say in cost and programme. So to me, that then stems back to the supplier that they're using to deliver that project. And if people want to sort of like look at programs and realise that they're not achievable and realise what it's going to do to their business, and even more so, their individuals, they're more for them taking them projects on. Because if you break your team, you're going to break your business. Your employees are your biggest assets. And that's down to the companies that the employees are working for, to ensure that they've got a robust mental health and wellbeing program within their business. Because at no point would we put safety in more importance than what a program is. The health, wellbeing and safety of our people is our priority.
And it's an ideal answer what you've just said, but I still would argue that there's a lot of companies that haven't got that luxury, and they're taking on jobs because they're pricing jobs lower than they should do just to be competitive, and they're getting clients that are putting too much pressure on them, and it kind of sets them up for fail. And I don't see enough companies pushing back on those types of things.
So it's right. I'm not here to judge other people's business. Everybody runs their business in different ways and styles. And like I said from the beginning, I was 35 years old. I've come off the tools. I know what the environment was like 35 years ago. We've come a long way. I'll tell you one thing I've realised in the 35 years is my biggest asset in my business. It's not the millions of pound of kit that I own in steel, tube fittings and bolts in the scaffolding. My biggest asset in my business is my people.
Absolutely.
And I have to invest in those people, in their training, in their health, and in their well-being, and in their safety. If we invest in them, we are gonna create high-performing, loyal teams.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, but I think it's just hopefully getting the rest of the industry to see the same value that you do.
The rest of the industry we are getting better.
Absolutely.
We're in a better place than when we first met in 2014. Look at the change in the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
It's going in the right direction.
So I suppose you've been doing some great stuff already with GKR, and then looking into the future, recognising where the industry's going, and you've spoken a bit about neurodiversity and mental health programs and manual handling, but I suppose from a business owner and some of the challenges that you see, is there anything that you would like to see happen in the next 5 to 10 years that you think will actually help you be able to look after your people better?
You're asking me to look into the future here, Jenny? Yeah, I've just told you I've got ADHD. I can only think about what's happening today. We don't plan. Yeah, we're sporadic. We go with the moment. Look, let's be honest with you. Yeah, technology, AI, social media, everything's changing on a daily basis. Like, it's phenomenal. I read a stat the other day. How long did it take for 10 million users to use AI? It was something ridiculous, like 6 hours. Nothing's ever been used that quickly. So we've got all these new tools coming out. It can only make the industry a better place. We've got all different kinds of technology that we can use. Yeah, we've got, VR. We've got, you look at some of the safety equipment that you have now, with the face-fit masks. They're not a mask anymore. It's like a head device. We've got musculoskeletal wearables to lighten the loads. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 5 years? But I can honestly say that it's only going to be for the better of the industry. And the better for the industry means it's going to be better for the individual, which then means we're going to attract more people into this great industry of construction. Yeah, because 15% of construction workers are retiring in the next 10 to 15 years. And we've got battles attracting people into our industry because 60% of the school leavers at the moment want to be influencers or TikTokers.
But we also
so we need to make it more attractive, and as we say, it needs to be a safer, healthier place to work.
Yeah. And my argument often is how we look after those people so they don't have to retire earlier because of ill health.
And if we can prolong the longevity of the workers that we have in the industry at the moment, that's even better for the next generations that are coming through.
Absolutely. And, arguing the bigger point that for society, that take the burden off the NHS if we can look after people better, and all the challenges that our country faces.
You'll know this stat, coming from a nursing background, working in A&E, and where you are now as an occupational hygienist, specialist, contraction legend. An legend. You might even know this stat. What is the stat coming from your nursing background? What is the construction statistic through not obviously workplace injuries, cuts, bruises, trips and falls, but through asbestosis and other related health issues that were from 10, 15 years ago? Do you know that?
It varies so much. We're still talking about 500 people dying each year from silica exposure, thousands of people still dying from asbestos-related diseases. I think the latest HSE stats said that there were 78,000 new cases of ill health that had occurred in the last year. Work-related ill health. So, yeah, we've still... So
78,000, yeah?
A lot more than
safety. And when the industry was a lot smaller place 20 years ago than what it is now.
Yeah, absolutely.
The increase in the workforce within the industry since I've been here, 35 years, the size of the projects, it's going in the right direction, but every single person, every business owner, every single person within it, every single business have all got a point to play and a valuable role to play.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, thank you, Lee. Thanks so much for sharing some of your insights. Our last feature before we finish is talking about what's in your hard hat. So this is where we want our guests to share a couple of top tips about how they look after themselves and keep themselves happy and healthy. So I'm interested what it is that you do to support your own health and well-being.
So the question's what's in your hard hat?
What's in your hard hat? The top things you do.
I would obviously say I've left my hair in my hard hat.
Be able to see the video.
Yeah, I'd say I've left my hair in the hard hat. Yeah. Okay, what's in my hard hat? Yeah. So obviously for me personally, your business can offer you all of the support when you get onto construction sites. We're in a better place. They can offer you the healthy eating breakfast. We can offer you all the mental health support, and as you've seen on a lot of sites now, there are occupational health nurses present taking blood pressure. We're doing the PSA testing. Dentists are coming to site now, and wellbeing. We can offer all that, but everybody's got responsibility to look after themselves as well. Yeah, and mine's obviously about keeping active. Probably the worst time to do a podcast with me in December when I'm burning the midnight oil. But it is about keeping active. It's about eating healthily, not drinking excessively. Everything that we're always told. But we've all got a responsibility and a duty of care to ourselves. Obviously, mine's through Paddle tennis, I enjoy that as a sport now. I've just started reformer Pilates.
Wow.
But just the reason being, another huge stat, after the age of 30, and obviously the people that are still out on the tools, there is a benefit as well, because you lose between 3 and 8% of your muscle mass after the age of 30.
Yeah.
Every decade, you lose between 3 and 8% of body mass. So by the time you're 65, if you haven't kept active and you haven't done some kind of weights, you haven't got to be heavy weights or anything like that, yeah, at 65, when you come to retirement, you're going to struggle to get out of a chair. So I've taken up reformer Pilates, stretching and muscles in one go.
Good for you.
Yeah, the Pilates, time out, basically enjoying time with your with your families and your friends and your loved ones, and just basically making sure that you're in a good place yourself.
What about,
and also come to work and enjoy.
And what about switching off as a business owner? Is it something that you can find?
You don't ever switch off. You don't ever switch off. Anybody says that they switch off, they don't. It's hard to switch off. It's hard to be as passionate as what I am and enjoy what I do as much as what I do. My huge social network is through work as well. And not that doesn't allow me to switch off, but it is hard. When you've spent 35 years driving a business, it's hard to switch off. I truly believe that there should be, for anybody listening, we're taught on the way in when we're starting our careers how to be successful, how to drive a business into the future, about change, about innovation, about being the best. And then all of a sudden, people that I've spoke to recently that have retired, people that have drove their main contracts into client businesses, when you actually retire and you're on the way out, there's no training. All of a sudden, your phone doesn't ring anymore and you don't feel needed anymore. We need as much sort of like coming out of our careers as what we need to going in. And if there's anybody out there that has any ideas, I'd be welcome to hear them. It's a while yet before I'm on the way back out, but there's something there to go away and think of.
Yeah, thank you, Lee.
But in my hard hat, the last thing I'm going to leave with today is I'd like to thank you, obviously, Jenny, for the opportunity to be numero uno in your podcast. Looking forward to sponsoring you for the rest of the year. That's an honour to do so. But yeah, listen, if just listen to what we've spoke about today, and if you are struggling out there, we will leave this on mental health. If you are struggling out there, please reach out to people within your businesses, your friends, your family, but even more so, and Jenny will share the Lighthouse Charities links for everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lee. So, Lee, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you as our very first guest, and also a massive thank you to GKR for sponsoring the podcast. For our listeners, if you've enjoyed today's show, please remember to like and subscribe on LinkedIn and YouTube. If you haven't enjoyed today, just give us some feedback. We're looking at how we evolve the show as we go through 2025. So let's all work together on building a healthier and happier construction industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.